Good afternoon, Norman. I'm Jennifer Gibson.
And I'm Sarah Fisher. Coming up on your news this Tuesday.
President Clinton is gearing up for the State of the Union address, and Norman's own J.C. Watts is preparing for the Republican response. We found out how Norman responds to your representative receiving this honor.
And some Norman residents are up in arms over a plan they feel is intruding on their rights. Is Norman really ready for growth?
This and much more headed your way on Norman News. The City of Norman is struggling today with the issue of growth. A plan called Norman's 2020 is proposing growth in rural East Norman with a target date of 2020. It may seem like a great plan, but residents in Norman are already defeating possible problems.
It was standing room only at the Norman Public Library for the City Council meeting on the new 2020 plan. This plan maps the future for land growth in Norman. Mayor Bill Nations was pleased at the turnout.
We're pleased to have you here. It's just evidence of how caring a community that we have, that people are willing to take their time and come down on City Hall and share their views with us.
The Burnham Group put together this plan for the City of Norman. Project manager Greg Dale realizes the importance of community values, but also feels that facts need to be taken into account.
This can't just be a wish list for the community. It needs to be a plan that's developed based upon a strong understanding of what the forces are that are facing the community.
Dale stressed to the council that opposition to the plan is normal and debate is good.
We are down to a fairly small number of issues, and they're going to be difficult issues. I'm not trying to suggest otherwise. But at least we're at a point now where we can have an intelligent debate about those issues.
The Burnham Group has a great vision for the future of Norman, but citizens aren't completely convinced. They say key problems have been overlooked, and they took to the stand to voice their opinions on everything from transportation to water pollution.
More people, more houses, more cars, it all means more stuff washed into our drinking water.
We do not want just a few developers and those with vested interests making choices about our future.
The time to protect our drinking water is right now.
The city, the county, and the state are planning to build a highway along that line, and it will be the only place in Norman where we have a highway fronting a school.
There's a reason that people live in Norman and not Oklahoma City, and if we spread out and keep spreading out, we're just going to be another Oklahoma City.
The decision is ultimately up to council members, but they are trying to get as much input from residents as possible.
Sarah, what kind of growth are we talking about?
Well, the Burnham Group has come up with about 5 different options, and the first one that they come up with was 1 house for every 10 acres. Then this plan was quite drastically modified to 1 house per 2 acres. And then there are 3 other options in there that would be a combination between the 10 and the 2 acre plan. So we'll wait to see what happens, but I'm sure that we'll be seeing a lot more debate on this before it's over.
Great.
Well, the weather's been mild lately. Mike, can we expect a change in the weather patterns?
Well, Sarah, yes, we've been experiencing really nice temperatures for this time of the year. Usually we're down in the mid to low 40s, but we've been in the mid to upper 60s. But I do expect things will change. We'll get back down to normal February temperatures. Tell you all about that in about 5 minutes. Back to you for now.
A memorial might soon be erected in honor of a mansion that burned due to arson.
And the state has issued a burn ban for Cleveland County. We talked to the Norman Fire Inspector to find out ways you can prevent fire. That and more coming up next on Norman News.
Where's dinner?
Well, I thought you'd be home a couple of hours ago, and I put everything away.
What is this? Pizza?
You had just called me. I would have known what
Dinner ready is pizza.
Honey, please don't be so loud. Please don't. Let go of me!
Get in the kitchen!
No!
Do you want to see what hurts? That's what hurts! That's what hurts!
Oh, please! Please!
For information, call 1-800-END-ABUSE. This is not a drill.
Roger, have target in sight.
This is what we do.
Swimmer away.
Every day in the Coast Guard.
Roger.
Battling the elements to save lives is just one of the real missions we tackle.
Swimmer checking victim. Coming up.
Be part of the action in the Coast Guard. Call now toll free.
Get ready!
Adventure training in the Army National Guard. When we move fast. When we train hard. If you're up to the challenge, we'll make it worth your while. Call 1-800-GO-GUARD.
I have today signed an executive order providing for the establishment of a Peace Corps.
For 35 years, Peace Corps volunteers around the world have been helping people to help themselves. And for all they put in, they come back with something even greater, a commitment to service and solving problems right here at home. Peace Corps, for 35 years, changing America and changing the world.
In Washington today, President Clinton is putting the finishing touches on his State of the Union address. Tonight, Clinton will speak to a special joint session of both the Senate and the House for the 4th time as president. Political analysts are expecting an evening of bipartisan promises, but little in the way of reform. They say Clinton's lack of memorable addresses and the failure of past promises may leave the president more cautious.
The nation's eyes will be on Washington for Clinton's big night. One Oklahoman has a special interest. Representative J.C. Watts will deliver the official Republican response to the president's address. GOP leaders chose Watts following his successful presentation at the party's convention last summer. The Eufaula native hoped to deliver the speech here in Oklahoma, but will stay in Washington due to scheduling conflicts. Republicans say Watts will target Clinton's education and balanced budget reforms. Norman residents are interested in what the Oklahoman will say.
Americans tune in tonight to hear the Republican response to the president's State of the Union address. Normanites will be listening especially close as their own congressman, Republican J.C. Watts, steps into the political spotlight.
Kind of anxious to see what he's going to say in response to Bill Clinton. There seems to be a lot of vitriol coming from the Republicans, but I'm willing to give him a chance.
Norman resident Charles Scallon says he expects Watts to stand firm with the Republican agenda.
I just know that he is pretty much with a Republican viewpoint, and that's the way he'll stand, and so naturally he might not be 100% with Clinton, but
Watts is the only African-American Republican in Congress, and one Norman resident says that is the main reason Watts was chosen to give the rebuttal.
I think it's a racial situation on that.
You think he was chosen because he's black?
Oh, yes, I think so. I don't think he's that qualified to give a speech as important as following the president.
Another resident says if Watts' race was a consideration, it's not a bad thing, and says the fact that Watts represents Norman is not that important.
Not necessarily pride that he's from Norman, like that doesn't, I don't really get off on that, but I think for me, like the diversity that the Republican Party is showing in the last couple of years, that's what's exciting. You know, I think it would be equally as excited if he was from Peoria, Illinois, you know.
Carla Wade, Norman News.
Governor Keating is cleaning house. Keating addressed Oklahoma lawmakers Monday in his 3rd State of the State speech, calling for sweeping workers' compensation reforms. Keating says he expects a bipartisan effort to protect both workers' and employers' rights. The governor also highlighted education, crime, and safety and other main points, including a $43 million increase in higher education spending, repeal of the early release law, and the proposed Oklahoma right-to-work law.
An area group is deciding on a proposed memorial at the site of the burned Shannon Kahn Mansion in Bartlesville. Friends of Shannon Kahn are planning to place a memorial at the lot that once was a national landmark. Another meeting is scheduled for March 3rd. At that time, they will hear reports on whether any part of the mansion could be used in the memorial. Shannon Kahn was destroyed by arson on December 26th. Authorities are continuing the investigation. Statewide fire alert is currently in effect in Oklahoma. Norman News' Diane Cushenberry tells us how to prevent wildfires.
Flag alert has been issued for the state of Oklahoma. Norman Fire Inspector Russell Graham explains.
Red flag alert is put out by the Oklahoma Department of Agricultural Forestry Division. When the weather conditions get like they have been, the humidity is low, hasn't been any precipitation, and the winds are projected to be high, they'll put out an alert. It's not a ban yet. A ban could come later, but it's just an alert, an advisory.
Graham says the wind is what makes it so hard to put out wildfires and gives us tips on how to prevent them.
Be careful with discarded cigarettes. No open burning outside, advising no open burning. Be careful if you're grilling outside, if you're using charcoals. Sometimes the embers will fall through the bottom.
Graham says residents should take extra precautions during this time of year. Diane Cushenberry, Norman News.
Well, we've been having beautiful weather lately. The sun is still shining, but it got a little colder today.
And it's supposed to keep getting colder. When we come back, Mike Francis will tell us what exactly is going on with the weather. Stay with us.
$1,200 for the band? Nobody even danced.
10 years ago, Jim Pratt only had a 60% chance of surviving his cancer.
$250 for the limo? Did you see a limo?
But thanks to 80 years of cancer research,
did you see how happy she was?
he now has more important things to worry about.
I wouldn't have missed it.
The American Cancer Society. We offer hope.
Maybe you have what it takes to be one of us. The few, the proud, the Marines.
People who do something with their lives. They're hidden in small towns, thriving in big cities. Some have the most stuff, some have the least. They're born into sturdy houses and single-parent homes. Doers know no gender, and the only race that counts is the one that's being run. Doing something with your life, it's not about where you come from. It's about where you're headed.
The Navy encourages you to rise to the challenge.
Okay, it's a little windy. Well, Mike, it's a beautiful day today. Can we expect this weather to continue? Are we going to be getting colder, or what's going on?
Well, as you can see outside right now, we've got beautiful skies outside the Norman area. This is typical February weather. It's not like it has been the last few days. It's getting back down to normal, so it might feel a little cooler. Right now, we'll go ahead and take a look at our current conditions outside the Channel 48 studios. Temperature currently is a chilly 46 degrees as comparative to the last few days. 43% is our relative humidity. Our pressure is at 30.29 inches of mercury, and that's steady. And those winds are howling out of the north at 27 miles per hour. Well, normally we should be at 49 degrees, so we will make it up there today. Our average low is 27 degrees, and our record high back in 1962 was 77 degrees. And last year, I'm sure everybody remembers that cold snap we had. We had a record low of -3. And your sunset this evening is going to be at 6:01. Our satellite loop will show you that that storm system that moved through our area yesterday is now moving up towards the Great Lakes region into the Indiana and Ohio area. And down along this cold front, there are going to be a lot of thunderstorms today, and wrapping around that, there will be a lot of heavy snow. Nebraska and up into Missouri, or up into Minnesota, they're going to be getting a lot of snow today and some pretty heavy wintry weather. We need to watch is this storm system you can see coming through California right now. That's going to carve out a trough in the western two-thirds of the United States and bring in some cold Arctic air that has been dormant up in Canada for the last couple weeks, and that's going to move down into our area and bring us a pretty good chance of precipitation come Thursday afternoon and into Sunday. And with that rain, we'll also have much colder temperatures due for next week. So today, as this high pressure moves in, winds are going to kick out of the north, and it's still going to be pretty windy all day long. But then later on as the day progresses, it will calm down as this dome moves into our area. So today for the temperatures across the Oklahoma area, they look like this. Pretty chilly outside, but it's basically normal for February weather. Well, we'll go ahead and look at the lows tonight. 23 degrees for Gage, 28 down in Hobart is pretty chilly. 26 here in Norman with a 24 in Ponca City and a 24 in Tulsa. For your forecast this afternoon in the Norman area, cold and blustery with a high of 50 degrees. Northwest winds at 15 to 25 miles an hour. And for tonight, it's going to calm down. The winds will die and it will get very cold. 26 degrees, clear and cold, and like I said, those winds will calm. And your next 3 days looks like basically normal February weather. 50 degrees tomorrow for high temperature with a low of 35. And Thursday, those rain chances come in with a 50% chance of rain. And Friday, we'll also have a 20% chance of rain. So we're getting back to normal weather for this time of the year. Sarah, back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Sounds great. Stay with us. Coming up next on Norman News, we've got all your headlines and more.
Heart disease will kill 500,000 people this year. They won't be selected at random.
I'm out here every week talking to people about sex. My message is simple. If you're gonna have sex, a latex condom used consistently and correctly could help prevent the spread of HIV and other STDs. People out there gotta understand. That's why I'll go anywhere to talk about latex condoms. Even into your living room.
My older sister has really been depressed for weeks.
His wife died a year ago, and my brother's still not sleeping.
She cries all the time.
Now that my husband's not working, he feels worthless.
My friend lost her appetite.
He used to be so active, and now he won't even play cards.
Depression is not a normal part of aging. It's a serious illness. For free print information on helping an older person who's depressed, call 1-800-421-4211.
If you sometimes forget things, and it's happening more often, it's not necessarily your age. But it never hurts to be sure. There are people who can help. If you want to learn more about forgetfulness, we'll send you a free booklet. Call 1-800-438-4380. Don't forget.
And now, topping our national news, U.S. District Judge Richard Maich ordered the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office to release all medical records used to identify victims in the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. Although Oklahoma law prohibits the release of the records, both prosecuting and defense attorneys demanded their release. They contended that the medical records are relevant to the causes of death for the bombing victims.
From court proceedings in Denver to a legal battle in Santa Monica, the judge in the O.J. Simpson case denied another defense mistrial request Monday, just days after the only black juror was dismissed for misconduct. Superior Court Judge Hiroshi Fujisaki appointed an alternate juror and ordered the panel to start deliberating anew. The jury now consists of 9 whites, 1 Hispanic, 1 Asian, and 1 person of Asian and black heritage. United States Ambassador Pamela Harriman is recuperating at an American hospital located in Paris, France. U.S. sources in Washington said the 76-year-old ambassador had suffered a stroke. Embassy spokesman Chris Snow said that doctors are currently evaluating and treating her. Harriman had been ambassador since spring of 1993. She had mediated disputes over trade, Bosnia, NATO and the Middle East, Africa, and CIA spying. Before she became ambassador, Harriman had been a longtime fundraiser for the U.S. Democratic Party.
The remains of a body found in Arkansas do not appear to be those of missing 12-year-old Crystal Dittmeyer of Oklahoma City. That's according to Benton County Sheriff Andy Lee. He also said that an Arkansas crime laboratory failed to link the remains to the case of the missing girl. Today, Dittmeyer's dental records will be compared with the teeth from the body that was found. Dittmeyer has been missing since last June 13th when she disappeared from her mother's apartment in Oklahoma City. Well, February is not only the month for Valentine's, it's also our Black History Month. This recognition began with Black History Week in 1926 and was expanded to a month in the 60s. The week was founded by educator and editor Carter Woodson, who was the son of former slaves. Students will be participating in various events to educate others about Black history. Today, Alpha Kappa Alpha hosts Black Jeopardy at 7 p.m. at the Henderson-Tolson Cultural Center. On Wednesday, an Ebonics discussion will be at 6:30 p.m. at the Henderson-Tolson Cultural Center. Friday, Joe Turner's Come and Play will be at 8 p.m. in the Rupel Jones Theater, and Loving Yourself, Mind, Body, and Soul, Part 1 in the 4-part series called Maintaining a Beautiful Race will air at 5:30 p.m. on Channel 28. And on Sunday, another Ebonics discussion will be at 6:30 p.m. also at the Henderson-Tolson Cultural Center. Well, coming up next, we have an interesting story about a twist on an old custom. It seems vending machines are no longer just for Coke and candy. We'll be right back.
It makes life safer to have rules.
Yeah, if you didn't have rules, someone would get hurt. You shouldn't make noise on the bus because sometimes the bus driver, he needs his ears to hear everything.
Like when you have to stop by the train tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't stay too close to the curb, otherwise you could get flattened or something.
You should walk at least 10 feet away from the bus so you can see the driver and the driver can see you.
It's very cool to follow the rules.
This is Cody. Cody was born with PKU, an inherited disease that causes mental retardation. But using a test developed by a March of Dimes researcher, this disease can be identified shortly after birth. And through a special diet, the tragic effects of PKU can be avoided. Which is why Cody is the perfectly normal 4-year-old you see here.
Cody?
Please, join our campaign for healthier babies.
Every child has a mother, a father, a name. Every child has a language and something to say. Every child has a gift, a laugh, a dream. In our world, there are millions of children, and every child needs medicine, clean water, nutrition, education. UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, because every child is our child.
These women are prisoners, but instead of gray fences and bars, they're surrounded by green trees and open spaces. As part of the Salvation Army's Almost Home program, small groups of low-risk inmates are brought to a Salvation Army summer camp, where they can get reacquainted with their children through counseling, crafts, games, and just spending time together. And after 14 years of the program, and more than 90% of the women returning to their families instead of a life of crime, you might say we've helped these prisoners find the perfect escape.
They're handy to have around when you're on the go. Jeannie Moss takes a look at new vending machines that don't just cater to junk food addicts.
Maybe you think all vending machines sell is cheesy stuff, something to eat when you're desperate. But imagine being desperate for a big fat worm or a big fat cigar.
I would not call it a vending machine. I would call it a vending humidor.
Whatever you call it, feed it $5 or $10 and watch C1 drop out.
I think it's a terrific idea, and I'm so sorry it wasn't my idea.
No wonder Sam Ferlita likes it. He supplies the mid-priced Honduran and Dominican cigars that Cigar Vending Corporation is putting in its prototype.
Each machine operates at 70 degrees, 70% humidity. There's a very high-end humidification system.
Cigars are very sensitive.
Unlike cigar smokers, Cigar Vending Corporation rushed to introduce what it calls the first ever cigar vending humidor, rushed in an effort to leave its competition in its ashes. Cigar Sir, this is the company's website, had already announced it was going to be first.
Creators of the world's first cigar vending humidor.
Due to the overwhelming response from recent articles in major media outlets, our staff is unable to return calls within 24 hours.
Nor was Cigar Sir able to produce its mahogany prototype in time to beat Cigar Vending Corporation's oak model.
I walked in and I thought it was beautiful. It looked like a piece of furniture, and it just was really classy.
Talk about classy. Imagine spending not 2 quarters for a Kit Kat, but 2 20s for a bottle of unisex Paco Rabanne scent. Paco! That's the vending machine, breathlessly panting Paco. Actually, the company only has a couple of these. They move them around to clubs and stores for promotional purposes. The times, they are changing. The vending times. Well, you can find vending machines that deliver hot fries in 45 seconds. In Japan, vending machines feature everything from whiskey to pornography.
They'll vend jock straps, underwear, towels.
But vending machines will be vending machines. Who doesn't relate to the author of this sign?
Are you going to hit the repairman up for the money?
I'd like to. I usually hit the machine, though.
They either eat your money or refuse to take it.
I'm starving.
But when the machine is your last resort, who wouldn't put in $12 for a container of motor oil for your boat or $2 spark plugs? But whatever you do, don't try to get a cold drink from the live bait machine. Live bait? Live night crawlers will cost $2 a dozen. Peter Urado is spending $5,000 for a live bait vending machine that will dispense everything from minnows to mealworms outside his Bloomfield, New Jersey Sportorama store.
Most fishermen go out 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm still in bed.
Just think, if Pete really went all out, you could enjoy a cigar while you were out hooking your bait, but even Paco Rabanne might not cover your scent. Ginny Mo, CNN, New York.
Well, it looks like pretty soon you're going to be able to get just about almost anything from a vending machine.
I can't stay away from those vending machines that got the old stogies in them. I don't know.
I don't know about that. You know, I would wonder about children walking up to things like that. It seems like they could almost walk up to a vending machine and get almost anything out, ranging from the porn to cigars. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Maybe you're right. Those French fries aren't such a bad idea, I tell you what.
That's not a bad idea. Makes you wonder, though, if pretty soon that Coke machine is going to be an antique. Those vending machines, people will probably collect them. It'll be a collector's item because they won't be anymore. It'll be all cigar and
I'm sure if they are,
French
people will spend a fortune for them.
Well, hopefully this nice weather will be continuing. I know it's supposed to get a little colder, but hopefully it'll be getting better. But Mike Francis will have all your weather here tomorrow, and we'll see you here tomorrow on Norman News.
Bye.
Every day, 96,000 acres of precious tropical rainforest are burned to the ground. A forest the size of a football field is burned every second. Less rainforest means less rain, less oxygen for all of us to breathe, and an even greater threat from the massive devastation of global warming. Rainforests occupy only 2% of the Earth's surface, yet these lush forests support over half our planet's wild plants and trees, half our world's wildlife, sources providing 1/4 of today's medicines, and 70% of the plants found to have anti-cancer properties, plus the keys to unlocking tomorrow's cures. When these rainforests go, gone forever are the rare plants, animals, and cultures that call them home. That's why this wanton destruction must stop now. It's time time to stop the burning. It's time to stop the bulldozers, and that's why we need your help. Right now, you can join the National Arbor Day Foundation, the world's largest tree planting environmental organization, and support rainforest rescue to help stop the destruction, to protect the planet's threatened tropical rainforest. When you join, you will save 2,500 square feet